Welcome everybody back to Forza Horizon 4, doing another seasonal championship. This time it's hitting the Gymkhana, which we're going to be in B-class classic muscle cars. Fortunately this is not high enough in the class to, meet that requirement and be usable, but yeah, it's still a great classic car. This is easily again one of my favourite cars to be added to the game after launch, so yeah, let's get to the seasonal championship and see what other cars we can choose from. Hopefully it'll be some good ones.
400 yards. Turn left.
Because I'm quite a fan of classic muscle cars. Although we haven't added that many added to the game ever since the car pass, to be honest.
200 yards, you will arrive at your destination. You have arrived at your destination.
Let's see what we're going to be getting in. So yeah, you can win a Ken Block helmet by getting first place in the championship.
Shine, this spring seasonal will be fun. Trust me.
If that's the kind of thing that interests you, then do this championship. So we can get in a pair of Corvettes, the Stingray 427 and the Corvette ZR1, the Dodge Dart Hemi Superstock, the Ford Falcon XA GTHO. Only one of them were ever made before they were pulled. The plug was pulled on them for stupid reasons, and yeah, then a Plymouth Hemi Cuda convertible Barrett Jackson version. So yeah, I really like this Ford. I know, like I said, only one of them were ever made, but yeah, it's a great car. 410 horsepower, 364 pounds-feet of torque, 5.8 litre V8 engine, and it doesn't even weigh all that much either at 3,461 pounds. So yeah, that amount of power and torque would certainly give a lot of classic American cars from the period a run for their money, and the handling and braking is really rather good as well. And to top it all off, it's a four-door practical saloon. So yeah, another reason why I really do like muscle cars from Australia from the 60s and 70s is that they had saloon versions on offer, and yeah, we have plenty of their saloon versions on this game as well. Because we have another Falcon as well, that's a four-door muscle car. And yeah, as you can see with this, 7,000 RPM limit. So even though it does have the typical characteristics of a muscle car from the period, rear-wheel drive, big V8 engine, it's, yeah, in terms of RPM, is nowhere near as low down. Sounds pretty good as well. Big shame they never got the chance to make more of these, but there was a whole stupid press furore about saloon cars being able to go 170 mile an hour and how dangerous they were going to be and putting people at risk and whatever else, and it's nonsense really. A car that is made to go that fast is going to have the handling and braking to deal with that kind of speed, so there wasn't really any more danger in something like this over the much slower version. So yeah, Ford pulled the plug on these cars, and yeah, we had to deal with slower Falcons from the period instead of this absolute beast of a car. But I guess in some ways you could call this the first ever, sports saloon. Obviously, handling wise, it's not as good as, say, the BMWs from the 80s. But power and torque and acceleration and top speed wise, it's well up there. But we have to wait until the Lotus Carlton to beat this in terms of straight line speed. And then, I don't think the Lotus had even as much power as this, even though it's quicker. So yeah, if you've not tried this car out already, I highly recommend doing so. Getting beaten by an original Mustang, and there's a GTO Judge up front. Indeed it is. Usually used to seeing them in orange, so I initially didn't know what it was. It does not have the same kind of power as I do. Might have quicker acceleration in certain regards, as you can see, because it's got really rather short gearing. This has the better handling and the higher top speed. We don't weigh quite as little as that original Mustang, which surprisingly was less than £3,000. Some of the later versions that ended up getting fatter. And on to our first win of this championship. Beating the original Mustang quite convincingly, nearly a second quicker, which for some reason, despite being in C-Class, is allowed in this B-Class championship. And yeah, the Pontiac GTO was even further behind in third place. And we also beat a Dodge Charger and a Chrysler Valiant. Again, the Chrysler Valiant there being another Aussie vehicle, which is, again, one of my favourite muscle cars from the period. But nonetheless, let's get on to the second race. So the Ford there was mightily effective, no surprise given the amount of power and the really good handling and braking it has on the go. So let's go for something that might not be quite as good. Trying to choose between the Corvettes really. They're both pretty much the same weight. The ZR1 has less in the way of power and torque, but has slightly better handling, but slightly worse braking. The Stingray has the better top speed, but I really don't think we're going to be able to get up to that kind of top speed, to be honest. And in all honesty, I also prefer the ZR1. It's easily one of my favourite Corvettes. Not just in terms of the name, obviously we've had other ZR1s from the Corvette brand before, but this specific ZR1 is, easily one of my favourites. Let's see what it can do. And at the end of the day, 370 horsepower is not bad. Obviously it's 65 horsepower down on the Stingray, but like I said, I don't think that power is really going to be coming to much use. And even though this doesn't have quite the top speed of that Stingray, it gets to its top speed a lot quicker because of the gearing. So yeah, it's not mega quick at the top end, but it's quick at getting to that top speed in the first place. This is another one of those cars that technically can be a convertible, but unfortunately you can't, upgrade it to become a convertible, which is a bit of a shame, because to my mind this looks even better without the roof. So yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that we're restricted in that regard when it comes to cars on these games, because there are a lot of cars on here that are able to be convertibles, or should be convertibles, or we only have the hardtop versions, or we can't remove the roof at all. So yeah, bit of a shame really. Yeah, as you can see, we're getting up towards the top speed of this car, which at least is quicker than the Javelin there, which has an even lower top speed. Yeah, American cars typically had low top speeds because they wanted to value acceleration with the lower gearing and the quicker gearing. So that's why we really didn't have the top speed. Plus obviously only 4 gears with low gearing really isn't going to give you the top speed anyway. The handling on this is superb, it really is. It really does feel more like a sports car than a muscle car. But again, Corvettes typically were marketed as sports cars and not muscle cars, even though they share obviously a lot of similarities with muscle cars. Big V8s, rear wheel drive, lots of power, great sound, great looks. Yeah, this one in particular comes away from that muscle car generation because of how good it is in terms of handling. Plus it's obviously not particularly practical, it's only got 2 seats. And I don't even think it's got a boot, to be honest. I think it's completely enclosed, the rear end on these. I think it was until the latest C models, the C4 or the C5 or whatever, that we ended up getting an open rear. Probably wrong on that, but yeah, it's still a great car in its own right, even with that limited top speed. But at the end of the day, when else are you going to get up to 140 miles an hour? not off. It's hardly doing us much in the way of negative placings because we're well and truly comfortably in first place. Let's see how far second place is behind us. Waiting, and there we go. Nearly, well, more than 6 seconds slower with the Charger. Way slower in terms of the Mustang from 65 and from 71, and the Javelin with the even worse top speed than we have in 5th place. So yeah, pretty good there from the Corvette, beating several cars that are even more powerful than it. So yeah, we've got the full round 40 points. So let's move on to the third and final race. So with 2 wins in a row, let's go with something a little bit harder to drive. Obviously the Corvette there was good in terms of handling and braking, and so was the Ford Falcon, to be honest. So yeah, let's go with the Dodge Dart Hemi Superstock. It's probably the worst handling car here, yeah, because even though it's got the same handling and as the Falcon there, it's also got the same braking, but it's also got more in the way of power and torque, while significantly less in the way of weight as well. So I imagine this is going to be a bit of a hairy car to drive. Top speed is also slower than the Corvette, so yeah, we're not going to be quick at the top end, but we should hopefully be quick in terms of getting there. So let's see what this dragster can do for the road. Yeah, these were very much on the limit, or the legal limit of being an actual road car, because yeah, the bonnet cannot be just pulled up normally. It's got screws in it. There's very little in the way of creature comforts inside. Yeah, straight lines are really where this car is at home. This is clearly quite a small track, so we've got a bit of a challenge on our hands here. Hopefully it will be able to make the most of its quick acceleration in these short bursts of straight line speed. So it's not going to be quite as agile as, say, the Corvette around here, but it's, yeah, quick gearing should hopefully make the most of what the straights there are. Same engine as the Charger up front, but obviously the gearing is different and we weigh a lot less as well. Sneak in on the inside there. It's got an original Mustang to beat, which probably does have better handling than we do, but it's got nowhere near the levels of power or acceleration. It does actually weigh less, so yeah, it's going to be able to make more use of that power that it does have. Truly out of its comfort zone though, this. As you can see, it revs even higher than the Falcon does. The inside, have a drag race to the finish line. What's it going to be? Oh, I think the Mustang just pipped us by a wheel length there. Yeah, very close race that was. Did have the best lap, but yeah, that just wasn't enough to sneak past the Mustang at the final straight there. But yeah, that is incredibly close. Not even a 0.1 of a second in it, but we still have enough points overall to beat the rest of the competition and come in first place on the championship overall. 10 points ahead of the Ford Mustang that we probably just came behind, and yeah, 14 points ahead of a Charger, 16 points ahead of another Charger, and a massive 28 points ahead of a Forza Edition Chevrolet Nova. So yeah, pretty damn good championship there, especially since it's obviously one of my favourite kinds of cars, classic muscle cars. But obviously with a nice variety to try out as well. You had a saloon car, you had a drag car, a couple of sports cars, and yeah, obviously the Plymouth as well, which we didn't get around to using. But yeah, still a cracking lineup, and yeah, pretty good championship as well. And obviously if you want that Ken Block helmet, then you will obviously have to do this championship. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.